Welcome back. With the transfer window coming up this summer, we're going to look at some key players from Europe's top 5 leagues and how they might land this transfer window. Starting off, we're going to look at some Premier League players. Our first player is Douglas Luiz. He's 26 years old. He's a midfielder from Aston Villa, and he's going to be looking to be worth around 70 million euros. Every single amount we're going to be talking about today will be in euros. Juventus is looking at him, and they're looking to add Weston McKennie and then cash on top in order to get him to Juventus. I think this would be a brilliant move for Douglas Luiz. The Brazilian has really come into his own at Aston Villa and could really explode in Serie A. And I also think Aston Villa would really love to get Weston McKennie in, almost like a like-for-like replacement, and allow them to get a young player and some cash on top to help supplement their team going into the Champions League next season. The next player we're going to look at is Gabriel Jesus, the 27-year-old forward from Arsenal. He's been really falling out of form recently, but Chelsea, Spurs, and Milan, AC Milan that is, are looking at him. They're just going to cost them around 65 million euros in order to get him onto their team. I think a move for him outside of Arsenal would be really good. Arsenal's looking at some new strikers. They've also got some young strikers in their ranks in Nketiah. So I think moving off from Arsenal would be good for him. He's been hurt a lot. He needs to find new form. I would actually recommend him to go to AC Milan, get into a new league, into a new environment, and really try to grow from there. Because if you go to Chelsea or Spurs, you're staying within London, and it wouldn't be a change of scenery, and I think the same result would happen. But the next player we're talking about is Ivan Toney, who's actually been looking at by Chelsea and Arsenal. This is one of Arsenal's replacements that they're thinking of bringing in for Gabriel Jesus. I think he'd be a brilliant fit there. The forward is 28 years old. He's going to be worth about 50 million euros. He plays for Brentford right now. This move, I think, would really solidify him onto this team. He's been wanting a move for very long from Brentford. Real Madrid's looked at him. He's kicked the tires with Arsenal before. Chelsea have been looking at him. I think Ivan Toney would be a great fit at either Arsenal or Chelsea. I don't see him really working at Real Madrid. They've got Mbappe now, so nothing's going to be happening there. So I say his top 2 places to go will be Arsenal or Chelsea. I hope he goes to Arsenal. I think that'll help get them over the line. Conor Gallagher from Chelsea, though, is going to be put up on the market because Todd Boehly is running out of money. The 24-year-old midfielder is going to be worth around 50 million euros. Spurs and Aston Villa are both looking at him. This is where I think it can get really interesting. Aston Villa looking at him. A replacement for Douglas Luiz, Weston McKennie in there. That would give them good squad depth going into a Champions League season, being able to play in Europe and domestically. So I think this would be a great move for Aston Villa. Spurs, for example, this could be really good to help supplement their midfield, maybe get, some protection, get some creativity alongside James Maddison, and really help their attack going forward. But what's interesting is Todd Boehly's trying to get 60, 70 million for him. I don't see him getting that. I think if they hold out too long, he might even go for 45 million euros. But keep that in mind. Let's hope Conor Gallagher gets a good move and is appreciated where he goes next. The next player is a very key player in this summer's transfer window, Michael Olise. The 22-year-old winger is going to be worth around 55 million, and Chelsea, Man United, and Arsenal are all looking at him. He's from Crystal Palace. He's a London-born player, but he represents France, so that's a little interesting there. But Man United have been looking at him since January. Chelsea have kind of just swooped in recently, and Arsenal are also kind of kicking the tires around this deal. He'd be a great player for all three for 3 different reasons. For Chelsea, it actually would be a proven Premier League talent player they're bringing in, not just some random player they're spending tons of money on like Mudryk or Madueke, but a real Premier League proven player who would help kind of supplement that offense and go alongside Cole Palmer very well. For Manchester United, he would really help supplement their attack, add some well-needed creativity, provide service into Rasmus Højlund or maybe Sesko if Man United are able to get him. And for Arsenal, it would provide another option on the wing with Saka, Martinelli, and whoever they put down the middle for Arsenal. So I think it would be a really good player. It would be great depth for Arsenal to have. But I like to see him go and play, so I'd love to see him at Man United or at Chelsea. I just hope Chelsea don't ruin him like they've ruined Mudryk and Madueke. Bruno Fernandes of Manchester United, the 29-year-old attacking midfielder, is going to be worth around 70 million euros this summer if he does move. I think it's very contingent on whether or not they fire Erik ten Hag, because I think he wants to stay with Erik ten Hag, wants to be a part of that project, but he doesn't want to reset again. His agent has been in contact with Barcelona. We know that from Mark Goldbridge reporting that on the United stand. And I think Barcelona would be a great move for him if Erik ten Hag is to get fired. But I would look at Bruno Fernandes staying at Manchester United, maybe reworking a new deal. Hopefully Erik ten Hag stays, and that would allow Bruno Fernandes to build up with this team, build with young players like Kobe Mainu, Alejandro Garnacho, Rasmus Højlund, and really be a strong senior mentor for these players going forward. So let's hope Bruno Fernandes stays at Manchester United. Marcus Rashford, another United player, 26-year-old forward, can play on the wing as well, worth around 60 million euros. He will definitely be moving on this summer, I think. Now, that's not confirmed by any sources, but I do think he will be moving on. I think Milan, Barcelona, maybe PSG or Bayern Munich would be looking and being interested in him. He's a very, very, very exciting forward who has run out of form at Manchester United. The issue is with him at Manchester United, the fans aren't happy with him. The staff aren't happy with him. He is hot 1 week, cold the next week, hot 3 weeks in a row, cold 5 weeks in a row. It's just very hit or miss for him right now. So I would love to see him get a move, get onto a team that appreciate him, can coach him, and can make him a better player so he can hopefully make England squads in the future, because he did not make the England Euro squad this summer, and that has to be a big stain on his record. And then the final United player on here is Jadon Sancho, 24-year-old winger, only 30 million. They bought him for like 70, 80 million. They're only going to be able to sell him for 30 million. Dortmund seem to be the only team interested, and even Dortmund can't really afford him. They're looking to get him on a loan deal, and I don't know if Manchester United will want to loan him out. They might loan him out because the ownership is incompetent. But if you're a Manchester United fan, you can't be loaning him out. You either keep him or you sell him. You either get the asset on your team or you move the asset for actual money. You can't loan him again. Don't loan with an obligation to buy. Don't loan with other obligations. Either sell or retain him. Otherwise, it's an absolute waste, and you're just wasting this player's talent. You're wasting him financially, and you're also wasting Dortmund's time as well. But that's the Premier League. Next, let's move on to La Liga. The first La Liga player we're going to be talking about is Nico Williams of Atletico Bilbao. The 21-year-old winger is going to be worth around €50 million this summer. This summer. He is a very, very, very exciting prospect. He's absolutely rapid, has great control. He made the Spanish Euro squad this summer. I look for him to be one of the stars at the Spanish Euro squad this summer. The teams that are interested in him are Chelsea, Arsenal, and Barcelona. The fact that he is Spanish, I would lean more towards him going to Barcelona, but he'd also be great at Arsenal and be great at Chelsea. If he goes to Arsenal, I think he'll start over Martinelli. He's that good. It will also provide depth for the Arsenal squad. I would hate to see him go to Chelsea. I think his talents would be ruined there. They do not seem to have a real plan in place, and I don't think Marseille will be able to coach him up. So for my hope for Nico Williams is I hope he either goes to Barcelona or Arsenal, but I would definitely prefer him to go to Barcelona to help that talent grow even more. The next player we're going to be talking about is actually from Barcelona, Frenkie de Jong. The 27-year-old midfielder will be going for around 70 million euros this summer. The Dutch player will be looking to move towards Bayern Munich. That's the team that's been kind of kicking the tires on him. I think this would be a good mover. It would help strengthen the Bayern Munich squad, hopefully help them regain the Bundesliga title next season, or maybe Bayer Leverkusen win it again. But I'd like to see him go there, help them in the Champions League, help them domestically, help them in the cup competitions. I think he'd be a great player for them, a real maestro in the midfield to move the ball forward and a real engine to drive that team. Artem Dovbyk of Girona had a fantastic season this year, was absolutely contributing both in goals and assists. The 26-year-old forward is going to be worth around £30 million, would be a nice cheap option striker. Coming in, he's 26, so you're going to get about maybe 5 good years, 8 good years out of him if a team go for him. Right now, Atletico Madrid are looking at him, another Spanish team. Or Chelsea are also kicking the tires on him. I think he'd actually be a good move for Chelsea. Chelsea need an out-and-out striker. Dovbyk gives them that option up front. I think Dovbyk going forward will actually really help Chelsea in that. So I think if Chelsea can get him for 30 million, a great steal. If they do move on from Conor Gallagher, like I recently mentioned, I think he'd be a good player to kind of bring in and supplement that. João Felix has kind of been falling off recently. The 24-year-old forward is going to be worth around 30 million euros this summer. I would really like to see him get a move, kind of try to restart his career. And now teams can kind of get him on the cheap and hope he's the player that he was when he was like 19 years old. Aston Villa are kicking the tires on him. I do not know if that'd be a great move. They already got Ollie Watkins, but maybe they want to give Watkins some protection, not so much game time with the Champions League coming up in that different format where they're going to have to play a massive kind of group stage in the Champions League. Domestically, in like Premier League, he could really help them, but also United are kicking the tires on him. And I think United would be a better move for him. He's going to start over Højlund. He's going to be the starting striker up there, the starting center forward. He can work well with Bruno, who has that Portuguese connection with him. They play together internationally, so he's already going to kind of have that connection. But this is important. This is why Ten Hag needs to stay at United, because then you can get players like João Felix in the team. The other team kicking the tires is Newcastle. This would be very interesting. I don't think Newcastle had that good of a season, but if they can get João Felix, what a fantastic spot for them to get him, because he can work alongside Isak. He can play that kind of false 9 role. He can play that number 10 role with Isak playing the number 9 role. It'd be a great role to kind of see him within. So I'd love to see him at any of these teams. I think United or Newcastle would be the best choice for him. But those are the kind of La Liga players we're talking about. Now let's move on to the Serie A. In Serie A, we're going to be talking about Mike Maignan, the goalkeeper from AC Milan. He's 28 years old. He's going to be worth around 40 million euros. City and PSG are both looking at him. Man City, that is. I think it'd be a good move for him to get to either of those two teams. Ederson might be looking to move on. He's been hurt recently. They've got Ortega, who's also looking to move on at Man City, so it'd be a good look for him. Donnarumma looks to maybe have been falling out at PSG, so this would be a good spot for him to go to. He's also French, so I think PSG have the edge there. Tion Koumaniers of Atalanta, the 26-year-old attacking midfielder, will be going for about 40 million euros this summer. Juve are looking at him to keep him within the Serie A. That would be a good move for him. It'd be relatively normal for him to see him make that move. But also Liverpool are looking at him and kicking the tires there. I think a good move to Liverpool would be good for him. He could work alongside McAllister, Szoboszlai, Cody Gakpo up front, who he shares his nationality with. Might be able to keep Mo Salah at the club and Virgil van Dijk at the club. So I would like to see him maybe take a move to Liverpool over Juventus this summer. Federico Chiesa of Juventus, though, the 26-year-old, since the Euros, has kind of not been doing too well. Hopefully he can regain his form in the Euros this summer. The winger is going to be worth around 40 million euros. Only Serie A teams are looking at him in Roma and Napoli. I think Napoli is going to be a good move for him as Kvaratskhelia, the Georgian guy, will be looking to be moving on from that team. So he could kind of fill into that role that Kvaratskhelia is playing. I really cannot pronounce that name. Will be a good role for him to kind of move into and kind of maybe try to revamp his career at Napoli. Roma might be a good move, but I don't really see it being the greatest move. But about the player we were just talking about, Kvaratskhelia, the 23-year-old winger is going to go for around 80 million euros this summer, and every team under the sun wants him. Real Madrid want him, Barcelona want him, Man United want him, Man City want him, Arsenal, Chelsea, Inter Milan want him. But what will be the best move for him? Personally, I think going to Real Madrid would be an amazing move for him. He could kind of play on that team, not have to be a superstar right away. That will offer him protection to kind of grow his talents, and hopefully be able to join up into the first team very soon. I think he'll be a nice bench player, squad player moving on there. But if he wants to start right away, he could look at Manchester United or Arsenal. For Arsenal, he could play in Martinelli's spot. He could maybe have Saka move up to a striker position and play where Saka's playing. He's not going to replace Saka in any way, but he'll play alongside Saka, and that could be a very interesting option for him. Or maybe moving to Inter Milan, he would start instantly for that team. That would really help him develop. He would stay within Italy, which would be a similar surroundings for him, which would be good for him in his early stage career. But I think this player is really exciting. One of the best young players in European football right now. I would love to see him do well in the Euros, where Georgia just qualified for the first ever time. And I'd love to see him really kick on at club level as well. Look for him to get a massive money move this summer. 80 million, I think, is on the low side. I think you'll be seeing him go for 90, 95 million this summer. Victor Osimhen, his teammate, the 25-year-old forward, is looking to be going for 110 million euros. Strikers are in high demand right now. He's one of the best strikers in the world. He had an off season this year, which is going to give teams a discount. He might have gone for 120, 140 million last summer. This summer, only 110 million is kind of his market valuation. The two teams that are really taking a look at him are Chelsea and Arsenal. Arsenal would love to have him in. What a player to have in. Imagine they get him and a winger. That would be perfect for them. They could have Saka, a new winger, and Osimhen up front. Chelsea, they spent £1 billion, have not yet to buy a striker other than Nicholas Jackson. That would be a great move for Victor Osimhen as well. But look for him to try to maybe move to Arsenal. Or also, the Saudi Arabia League has been kicking his tires as well. Does he want to make a massive money move to Saudi Arabia? I would absolutely hate it. 25-year-old going to Saudi Arabia, you're ending your career right then and there. You know, you're going to play for maybe like another 10 years there, make a ton of money, which is, if that's what he wants to do, all the power to him. I'm not blaming him for wanting to do that, but it would just be awful for his career, it'd be awful for European football, it'd be awful for football as a whole if this player was to leave at 25 years old. And the last Serie A player we're going to talk about is Paulo Dybala, the 30-year-old forward who's been having a renaissance at Roma. It's going to be worth around 25 million euros, a nice cheap player to add to an already experienced squad. Barcelona are kicking the tires, Chelsea are kicking the tires. I'd also like to see him maybe go to like a Manchester United, really kind of work off the bench, maybe take off some time from Bruno Fernandes, give him some rest on his legs, allow him to really revamp that whole offense going forward. But Paulo Dybala, I'd love to see him continue moving on. But next, let's move on to the Bundesliga. Our first Bundesliga we're going to be talking about is Jermaine Frimpong, the 23-year-old wingback. Will go around for 50 million euros. He plays for Bayern Leverkusen right now. Helped them win the league, was absolutely vital for them. Many teams are kicking his tires. Real Madrid, Man City, and Arsenal are all kind of poking around and looking at him. I think this would be a great player for them, but I would love to see him go to Arsenal. I would love to see him work on that right side with Bukayo Saka. Could you imagine that kind of combination there? The elite pace of Frimpong, the elite skill of Bukayo Saka going forward. It would be absolutely lethal for Arsenal moving forward with that. He'd also do really well at Man City. He would work very well with kind of their attacking presence, help them move up the field a little bit quicker. I just don't like Man City that much, so I hope he doesn't go there. But at Real Madrid, what a player for them. If he actually goes to Real Madrid, he would really help kind of get that transitional player, help Carvajal kind of slow down a little bit, get Jermaine Frimpong in there, and really help that whole team transition even more. The next Bundesliga player we're going to be talking about is Jonathan Tah, the 28-year-old center back. Also played for Bayer Leverkusen this season and was very, very, very vital for them in winning the league. He's 28 years old, so he's going to cost a little bit less at 30 million euros. United, Chelsea, and Tottenham are all looking at him and kicking the tires. I think United and Tottenham have the inside line on him. I would like to see him go to Tottenham, though. Really help strengthen up that defense, allow them to play a higher line and allow them to counterattack a little bit quicker. He'll be a great player for them, great in the box as well on corners with the Son whipping those balls in or Mazin whipping them in as well. The next player is Alphonso Davies, plays for Bayern Munich. The 23-year-old winger, wing-back, defender, going to be going for around 50 million euros. Real Madrid seems to be the only team that he's going to be going to. This will be a great move for him, a great move for Canada as a whole to have a player play for Real Madrid. Our first ever Canadian playing in that amazing team. So I think that'd be great for him to make that move. Look for him to really hit the ground running there. Again, if Frimpong doesn't go there, Alphonso Davies will be a great replacement for Carvajal when Carvajal decides to move on from Real Madrid. Joshua Kimmich, another player from Bayern Munich, the 29-year-old winger, wing-back, will be going around for 50 million euros. Arsenal, Real Madrid, Man City, and Barcelona are all taking a look at him. Again, all these teams are kind of kicking the tires on this position. I think Kimmich would be a way better fit here for Barcelona. Give them some kind of age and experience with their young players, help coach them, help be a driving force, help being a mentor for that team. So I'd really like to see Kimmich go to Barcelona. What a move for them that would be. Dani Olmo, the 26-year-old attacking midfielder from RB Leipzig this summer. He'll go for about 50 million euros. City, Liverpool, and Bayern Munich are really kicking the tires on him. I would see him going to Bayern Munich. He plays in Bundesliga right now. Going to a Bundesliga team would kind of make sense. I believe he's Austrian. So again, that kind of move would kind of make sense. He kind of stays in that area. He speaks the language. I'd like to see him kind of move to Bayern Munich again. Bayern Munich are going to really try and load up, not lose the league again to Bayer Leverkusen. So look for Dani Olmo to be going to Bayern Munich. Benjamin Sesko, the 21-year-old forward from RB Leipzig. 50 million euros, and so many key teams are kicking the tires on him. Chelsea are, Arsenal are, Man United are. Man United kind of were at first the only team looking at him. Then Chelsea kind of swooped in with their transfer policy of if you look at a player, we're looking at a player, you know, and Arsenal kind of in there as well. Arsenal, I think, have submitted an early bid to RB Leipzig for him. Around 50 million euros is the price there. I would love to see him go to Arsenal. He'd be a great focal point for that attack. It would allow them to really address a key position for them. I think he's huge as well. He's like 6'5", 6'6", so a big presence in the box. Well, can head balls in. He's got hold-up play as well, which they kind of do need. If you notice, they've never been really able to hold up the ball. It's kind of out the wings and then try to attack in. Being able to hold up down the middle of the field would allow creative players like Bukayo Saka to get more movement within the open field play. So look for Benjamin Sesko to go to Arsenal this summer. Moving on to Ligue 1. Xavi Simons from PSG, the 21-year-old attacking midfielder. He's going to be worth around 80 million euros. Every team under the sun want this player. Man United want him, Liverpool want him, Real Madrid want him, Barcelona want him, Inter Milan want him. But where will he go? I would like to see him go to Barcelona or Liverpool. Man United don't have the funds to really bring this player in. They'd have to sell too many players to get him in. He's a very exciting player. He did absolutely amazing in the Bundesliga because he was on loan from PSG to RB Leipzig. I could also see him working well at Real Madrid. Again, another great team to go to where he doesn't have to start right away. He can come off the bench. He can start against smaller teams, really build up his talent there, and become a force to be reckoned with. But what do you think he should do? Do you think he should go to Liverpool and start right away? Do you think he should go to Real Madrid and kind of work up that way? Or do you think maybe Barcelona or Inter Milan are the better move for him? Let me know in the comments what you think. And our final player on this list, Jonathan David, another Canadian from Lille, the 24-year-old forward, 50 million euros. Juve seem to only be the team that kicking the tires on him, which I don't understand why. He's a great striker. I do have the Canadian bias, but I mean, he's been doing really well in Ligue 1. He's always in the top 5 of scoring in the past 3 seasons there. He scores a lot of goals. He gets in the box. He puts the ball in the back of the net. Why would you not want him on your team? But these are the players who I think are going to be the key movement players in this summer's transfer window. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you agree with. Let me know what other players I may have missed. But like always, have a good one. See you next time.